technically, everyone has a Super Sentai changer because in Go Ranger, they didn't really have a changer, they just spun around. And I mean, I want to say like 99% of the planet can spin around. And then in the next season with Jaka, they actually had a changer, but I'm pretty sure no one just has giant human-sized tubes just floating around. One of my favorite things about Super Sentai changers is that they're generally really small. They can go on your wrist, or they're like the size of a phone. And something of this size means that there's limitations. And with those limitations brings creativeness. While Kamen Rider is creative too, and of course other tokusatsu also creative, Kamen Rider belts, they're belts. You know what you're gonna get. And yeah, they do have like different style changers like guns and even a couple of wrist ones. But for the most part, it's a belt. You know the next season's Kamen Rider is gonna have a belt and it's gonna be super cool anyway. While Super Sentai changes things up a bit. And even the first few Sentai were varied. Honestly, I can't really say too much of the period from Goggle 5 all the way to Live Man, because Rift Morphers, after a while, they just kind of start to blend together. Live Man is where things actually started to change up, because instead of one wrist morpher, you had two wrist morphers. And the double wrist morpher thing was going on for a while. Jetman has the most swag, they're the most pog, they're the most... I'm such an old man saying these words. I know I've been calling pretty much all of these morphers, but that's a Power Rangers thing. Super Sentai doesn't say morphers, they only say changers. But as most things when it comes to the English-speaking fandom, like Zords, Megazords, Mechas, changers, morphers, a lot of these, we interchange them, but officially Super Sentai doesn't say morphers, they say changers. But then G-Ranger changed the game for a lot of things. But a lot of the introductions that G-Ranger had, one of them is that for the first time ever, they actually had a changer that wasn't a wrist morpher or a ring or a tube. So G-Ranger introduced the Dino Buckler. Dino Buckler! As iconic as the Dino Buckler is for Power Rangers, I'm actually not a big fan of it. I like the concept of it. Like, I like the idea of the buckle of a belt being the changer itself, and you just hold it out and transform. I think that's a really neat idea. But the look of it, like the front of it, I actually don't like. I think it looks a little like cheap to me because it's just the coin and then it says like G-Ranger on it, and I don't know, just for some reason I wasn't really a fan of that. But I do like the concept of it, and it does have some pretty neat sounds in both Power Rangers and Super Sentai.
It's morphin' time! Tyrannosaurus! Yeah!
But one of my favorite changers of all time is the Aura Changer from Die Ranger. Power Rangers fans might know it as the Magnet Defender Morpher. But either way, I just love the look of this thing. It takes the concept of two morphers, but then you pull one out to put into the other. I love that. That is such a neat idea, neat concept. Now, around the post-G-Ranger era was when morphers/changers were really starting to experiment a little bit more. Like, even though we did still get wrist changers, they were a little more creative, I want to say. I mean, I'm not saying the older ones weren't creative. They just did look kind of samey to me, but these newer ones after Zyuranger, they actually started to have, I don't know, like a bit more color, or they just weren't wrist changers at all, or maybe the sound integration was a little bit different, maybe they had more buttons, you know, something like that. I did find it a little weird that Dairanger, which came right after Zyuranger, did go back to the wrist morpher, but it was such a cool concept that I didn't mind it. So the next one after Dairanger, Kakuranger, it again went for something that wasn't a wrist morpher. It wasn't something recognizable. It was the Duran changer. As much as I personally don't like Kakuranger, I actually do like the Duran changer. I think it looks cool. I think the sound is pretty good, but for the most part, it just looks cool. Then the Power Brace, or the Zeo changer morpher, man, I'm starting to get mixed up myself. That's when they also went back to a kind of similar aura changer thing where they had two wrist morphers and you put them on top of each other. It's morphin time, you transform by combining like both the wrist things together. I think they look cool separately, but together it seems a little janky. As iconic as those are, being like the next Power Rangers morpher, I wasn't really that big of a fan of them. I mean, they look cool enough, but I could easily skip them.
Lightspeed Rescue!
I'm gonna skip a little ahead here, because otherwise we'd be here forever if I brought up every single changer. But I think that Go-Go 5 / Lightspeed Rescue Morpher is one of the best morphers out there. Sure, it's another wrist changer, but it's small. And I think the last small one we had was like in Dynaman, but this one was really small. It was like, I know that it's big, but it was maybe like this big for like the Lightspeed Rescue Morpher, but then you can open it up to do the morph, and I think that's really cool. And plus, it's Lightspeed Rescue / Go-Go 5, and I love those shows, so I'm just gonna say I like them a lot. And I'm also going to mention the Time Force / Chrono Changer here just because it's an iconic one. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I mean, I don't mind it, but I'm not the biggest fan as like other people, so I'm just going to mention it here. I'll just show the morph here and then move on. And then Gaoranger / Wild Force. It's man. I know earlier I said that I love how creative Super Sentai gets, but the phone morphers are always such a hit or miss for me. And the first one, the very first phone morpher with Wild Force / Gaoranger, it is a ginormous miss. I do not like how basic it is, and it is kind of cute that it can fold out into like a little ranger, I guess, with as a phone. But maybe I've seen too much Katai Sosokan 7 to the point where I'm like, oh, I know how an actual phone toku thing should look like, and this is much better. I mean, I know the Gaoranger one was the first, but man, I am gonna rant again, so I'm just gonna move on again. I want to say the next few after Gaoranger are also iconic in their own right, like the Ninja Storm one.
Storm, Thunderstorm, Samurai Storm, Ranger Form! Ha!
The Aba Ranger changers.
But I'm intense! Ah!
The license from SPD / Deca Ranger.
SPD Emergency! Emergency! Deca Ranger!
Magi Ranger. I think of that era when it comes to morphers. Either, whether it's a wrist morpher or a phone one, I just think of something colorful and it just pops out, it stands out, the sounds are recognizable. And speaking of sounds, Kamen Rider didn't really have big announcements for their toys until like their second half of the Heisei era. But with Super Sentai, they mostly kept to just having generic sounds. I don't mean generic sounds, I just mean like regular sounds for their morphers. And I'm only bringing this up now because I don't really have too much to say about the Super Sentai / Power Ranger sounds until way later, until I want to say like the Dino Charge era around then. But until we get to that part, a lot of the sounds are okay. I mean, they are memorable. I do remember a lot of them off the top of my head. They are pretty cool. So hey, they're there, and they have parents buying these toys for kids, so they work. For the most part, Power Rangers keeps their morphers relatively the same from Super Sentai whenever it comes to the TV show. And one ginormous difference Power Rangers fans know of are the Geki Ranger changers versus the Jungle Fury morphers. I never really understood the dislike for sunglasses as morphers because personally, I think that's kind of cool. I know that Geki Ranger, I know it's supposed to be super awesome that you can crack your knuckles to transform. Sure, that's cool. But for me, visually, as the medium is for Tokusatsu, having sunglasses on and then transforming and then doing martial arts along with your transformation, I think that sounds 1,000 times cooler. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong on that. But I personally think it's a way better morpher than the Geki Ranger ones. Okay, now we're finally going to get to the part where I can talk more of, because the Go-Onger / RPM morphers. When I was starting to get back into Tokusatsu when I was in high school, this was the very first Toku toy I bought on my own. It is very special to me. The phone and the wing gun are cool additions to it, but I think the brace, this is probably one of the best morphers there ever has been. But the American toy sucks. This is just a hunk of plastic with a small, very, very small toy gimmick for it. This sucks. But it is still very special to me, and I will cherish it forever. Compared to the Japanese version, where they're more on-screen accurate, they have more accurate sounds, it actually has functionality, and you can't do that with the American toy. See, it's just plastic. Like, you can't even press it down. It's not even a fake button. But this is beautiful. See, this isn't just a really thin piece of plastic either. This actually has like electronics in it, and this is cool. Like, this actually opens up, and it's awesome. I love this. This is great. And even though this video isn't going over the toys specifically, there is a reason why the Japanese versions are just much better and higher quality. Hasbro / Bandai of America, they want to cheap out and just sell a $30 piece of plastic to kids that probably won't know the difference. While in Japan, this is just higher quality in general. So I don't know, I can't hate on this. And plus Taka from Kotetsu Toys gave me this in a raffle. So it's even more special to me. And I will keep wearing this one and not this one. I'll wear this one because this is lovely. It's beautiful. Mwah. Oh yeah, and the Shinkenger phone is pretty cool too. I hate that the samurai version doesn't fold out, because that's like the best part about the toy. Like, it's just a flip phone.
Memorizers! Go Samurai!
That's why cell phone morphers are hit or miss to me, because they either have cool functionality or they don't, and it sucks. And that's the samurai toy. The samurai toy is probably like the worst morpher ever to me. I'm just gonna say that right now. The Tensoder slash Megaforce Morpher is the weirdest anomaly to me. Like, I'm not sure what it's trying to be, but I love the sounds in both versions.
Go, go, Megaforce!
I just said I love something from Ghost Sager. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll admit I love the Tensoder voices. And I know I haven't been talking about the 6th Ranger slash Extra Ranger morphers, mostly because I don't have that much to say about them, and otherwise this video would be much longer than it is. But I love the Gosei Knight morpher. Mostly for the sounds. I love the sound. It's probably some of my favorite Toku sounds like ever.
Gotcha!
I'm telling you, gotcha just lives in my head just like 24/7. You know, like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX says gotcha. Kamen Rider Gotchard is a thing. Gotcha. It's such a cool word. You can pinpoint a milestone in Zyuranger that introduced a brand new morpher and just new things for Super Sentai. And I think Gokaiger is another place you can pinpoint those things towards too. These keys ruined a lot of people's wallets. This is one of the most genius and best Toku toys of all time. I can't say much else. This is great. This is fantastic. I love this. So how did Megaforce mess it up?
Go, Samurai! Power Rangers Samurai!
Truthfully, I actually do like the Megaforce keys a lot too. I like that those were spring-loaded, while this one you have to open up manually. Those were spring-loaded, so you just like lift it up a little bit and it automatically goes up. And the Gokaiger ones did have versions where you could like press a button and the legs would fold up. But I think Megaforce did them very well. The only thing I don't like about the Megaforce key is that they were really, really small. I do have a couple, I just don't know where they are. But they were really small. Well, these I think are the perfect size for like an American and a Japanese child. I think, again, this is one of the best Toku toys of all time, and it is great. And Super Sentai will never get rid of these keys. Ugh. From first glance, could you tell if this was the American or Japanese version?
Let's move it!
Go Busters didn't have a gimmick. So Beast Morphers slash Hasbro went and said, hey, let's just make one. And so they did. They made up Beast Morpher keys for the Morpher. And honestly, I don't mind it. I actually think it's pretty cool.
Activate Beast Power! Ha!
If you couldn't tell, I'm actually a ginormous fan of Go Busters slash Beast Morphers. I just love both of those shows to death. They are amazing. And yeah, I just love this. It is one of my favorite toys ever. It's so cool.
It's morphin' time!
I know I'm saying this to death, but phone. Why? How is this even a phone? How is this even a phone? Hello, your morpher sucks. But it's actually cool. I do like this a lot. I don't like the phone part, but I like that it's a gun. I think it is very cool. It's morphin' time. I'm not really a weapons kind of guy when it comes to Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, really anything Toku related. I don't really buy weapons. But if it's a morpher, then sure. I actually prefer if they were a morpher more than they were individual weapons.
Dino Chargers, engage! Energize!
A ginormous observation between Super Sentai and Power Rangers is that Super Sentai, being culturally different from Power Rangers, is that in Sentai, it is generally a lot more colorful and fun and more explosive and in your face, because in Kyoryuger, when they morph and they transform, they have music and they do like some dancing and then they transform. While in Power Rangers, they try to make it more cool. And if they're sounds, they're just these really epic voices that yell out something. And it doesn't really have like a musical big explosive samba jingle to go with it. They just energize, transform, and that's pretty much it. I'm not saying one's better than the other because I do like them both as they are individually. And you can probably see that observance in more recent Power Ranger seasons versus like how they were back in the old days, because the older Power Ranger seasons were kind of cheesy too. But I think the cheesiness really adds to the charm tremendously. ToQger used to be my number one favorite Sentai of all time. The imagination and the funness of it can't ever be matched until another season. This is one of the most perfect and beautiful incorporations of a changer into a show I've ever seen. It's a rail line. Like, how's that just not super cool and cute?
Ready! Ninja spin!
The Ninja and Ninja Steel also had a big change when it came to their morphers. While the Ninja's was a big sword, Ninja Steel actually used one of their weapons from the Ninja into their main morpher. As much as I actually don't mind the weapon changers, I think the Ninja Steel one was ingenious, because in the Ninja, they didn't really use that weapon that often. It wasn't like the main thing, but seeing that as like their main morpher, I think is really cool. You could still sell the sword separately, but then you can focus on this morpher that also happened to have the gimmick with it, the ninja stars. And while the American version of the gimmicks weren't good because they were just foam ninja stars that were like this big, it was still a neat idea, and I did like that a Ninja did that, or a Ninja Steel did that. And I can't make a whole video about changes and morphers without talking about the hamburger morpher. Ninja Steel did still have the prop, and it was used in the show, but man, what a big missed opportunity to just not have a hamburger as the morpher. I just realized I should have worn my Q Ranger jacket for this video. I only have this for a cosplay. I don't really have much to say about it other than it's the Q Ranger morpher. If I ever skip a few morphers, it's because, again, I don't really have much else to say. I will say the Versus Changer sucks, and the Ryu Soldier Changer is kind of boring. All that to say that the Kirame Changer is not that much better. It is incredibly simple. It is there's not much to it. You know, 4 buttons, it spins around, that's it. There's literally nothing else to it. But it is so sleek. It is so cool. I love Kirame. Just Kirame. Do you guys know I love Kirame? Did I mention that enough yet? Did you know that Marcosatsu's favorite Super Sentai is Kirame? While the Megaforce / Goseiger changers are very jarring to me, I think the Gear Tlinger from Zenkaiger is also just a what the heck? That's a morpher? And even more bonus points is that the Dawn Blaster uses the same gimmicks. The next Super Sentai, the next season after Zenkaiger, still uses the same gimmicks, and I think that's a very smart thing to do. I think it's very cool. I also just like spinning this. I think it's nice. One bad thing about the Power Rangers version is that they took off like the guard here, so you can't spin this, and that makes me very sad. But you can spin this, and that makes me really happy. I will say though, as much as I like these, I think Ultraman did it better because I think these are just shinier and they look cooler and they have more playability to them. So Ultraman gets a point there for once. Can also mention that I love the Tokusatsu boxes in general. I think Super Sentai has some of the best because just look how colorful this is. This is gorgeous. I love seeing the lineup of the reds there. I know Gokaiger did it too, but I think this is like This should be like baseline of how like Super Sentai does their box arts. And King Oger. Collectibles, if you want to sponsor me for a King Ultra Caliber, I will make a whole video just for it because I kind of want one and it is pretty cool. The Moe Moe Zukyun, I've been wanting that forever, but it is so hard to find and really expensive. But that is going to be one of my holy grails in Tokusatsu. I really want that. Is that weird to say? Although the anime part of it is kind of off-putting. But I do love the concept so much that I do really want that toy. It is so cool. One day. I swear, every time I'm like, hey, I'm going to make a short video about morphers. And I'm just going to talk about it for like 10 minutes and it'll be cool. And then here I am like an hour later and man, I didn't even go through like everything. This was just a general overview. So like